unnecessary intro song to totally waste your time.
You know, I'm going to help you out here. This could be, if you don't have this information later in life, it could cause great embarrassment for you and your entire family, your whole family name. So, the most important thing for you to remember, the very most important thing for you to remember and to know about murder-suicide is to do it in the right order. You got that? Yeah, you don't want to do it out of order at all. It doesn't work. It's a one-way deal. There's only one way you can do it. You've got to murder first. If you don't, you're screwed. And it will cause your family a lot of embarrassment. So, yeah, murder. Murder first. Murder first. Suicide after. I'm kidding. Don't murder and don't commit suicide. That would be stupid. Both of those are dumb. I mean, murder. Unless somebody's coming after you, don't murder them. Or, if they did something terrible to a loved one and they represent a threat to others, then maybe do it. I don't even know if I can say this. I don't do any of this. This is all fictional. These are just ideas or thoughts, okay? It's just philosophical ideas. Do not murder anyone. Ever. For anything. Don't murder. Okay? Now, if you have to kill something or somebody that's killing you, then of course you'll do that. That's self-defense, right? But don't kill yourself either. Don't murder yourself. All right? You've got something to live for. Nachos, for example. Why would you want to kill yourself when there's nachos? I don't think people think about that. When I hear that people kill themselves, I think, you fucking idiot. If you would just think about ice cream or nachos or like a cool breeze or like a stream on your feet. And I get it. When people commit suicide, they're not thinking of those things. That's why they commit suicide. They're thinking of other things. They forget about nachos. They forget about puppies. Some people kill themselves when they are next to a puppy. I knew a guy who jumped off the bridge with his dog. He survived, his dog didn't. That's an ugly story. I don't recommend killing yourself. Ever. And if you do, don't involve anybody else. If you murder anybody, don't involve anybody else. Do it on your own. You're going to involve somebody else anyway. Somebody in your family, no matter what a piece of crap you are, somebody's going to be bummed, or they're going to think you did it because of them, and then it's going to leave a scar, and I get it. A lot of people kill themselves because they want to get back at somebody. They literally do it to be mean. To say, ha, I showed you, you jerk. I killed myself because of you. I'm sure that's probably a lot of people. Maybe even a majority. I don't know. I've had dark thoughts before. I think everybody does. Who alive with an average chemical makeup hasn't had dark thoughts at certain points in their lives. Things get dark. But, I've never done it, obviously. I mean, if I had done it, wouldn't it be weird that you were listening to me right now? This would be a ghost podcast. wonder if anybody has a ghost podcast where they interview ghosts. I'll bet you somebody does. And you know what? And somebody out there believes it. Somebody believes, no, this is real. I really heard him talking to Grandpa. Sounded just like him. Fine. Believe what you want. But don't kill yourself. And don't involve anybody else. That's what, this is an opinion machine right here. I'm an opinion machine. So are you. Here's my opinion on assisted suicide. There's no such thing. Assisted suicide is murder. Right? Nobody helps you kill yourself. No, they become an accomplice in murder. They're helping you. They're murdering you. They can't crawl into your brain. They don't know what's actually going on in your brain. No matter how much you're expressing yourself about this or that, and that you really want to die, and you have cancer, and you're terminal, and blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? You're going to die anyway. And if you enlist somebody else, what you're really doing is you're turning them into a murderer. You're turning them to, at the very least, an accomplice. Now, you might think that's fine because this person is all chipper and skippy about helping you because they're helpful and they love you, or they're morose and dark and they have a weird boner for such things. I don't know. What I know is I can't get in your brain. They can't get in your brain. Nobody can get in each other's brains. And so if you involve somebody else, they will, whatever the situation, have to live with the fact that they killed somebody, that they helped kill somebody. What does that mean? I don't know. Crimes and Misdemeanors. You saw that movie where the guy gets away with it? Is that spoiler alert? Yeah. Maybe you can just be fine. Maybe you can kill somebody and just be fine at the end. But I don't think so. I think soldiers have post-traumatic stress, whether they like it or not. I think everybody who helps kill... I haven't looked, but I read something somewhere where the people who euthanize pets, there's a huge turnover rate and really dark, really super dark side effects to that people don't really get over. And you can imagine, right? Well, what if, somebody helps you help, if they help you kill yourself, which they're not, they're murdering you for you, right? Because otherwise you'd do it yourself. Suicide is a DIY deal. That's the deal. It's DIY. You got to do it yourself. Otherwise, you're enlisting somebody else into your murder. And you don't know how that's going to affect them, you selfish little bastard. You don't know how they'll heal. You don't know how they're going to feel 10 years from now. You don't know what the emotional side effects are. You have no idea. Maybe you don't care. You probably don't care. And you don't even want to live. So who cares about the people left behind? If you're going to be dead, who cares about the living, right? Who gives a shit? Well, the living do. And I'm alive. And the people listening to this, I assume, are alive. I'm almost positive they are alive. Part of listening requires being alive. But this extends. Murder. DIY. Do it yourself. If you're going to be a fucking creep and murder things, you, somebody else, fucking don't involve other people. Even if you have to kill somebody else, This is how I feel about abortion. Sorry. Oh, God, here I go. Now I'm going to be banned. But that's the problem with abortion, is you're involving somebody else. There's nothing darker than ending a life. Is there anything darker than ending a life besides maybe torturing it before you end it? No, it's the darkest thing. So if you're ending a life, and I don't care if it's a little guppy or a fish, whatever you want to call that zygote in your belly, and that's where they live, in stomachs. I've learned about this. A fetus lives in a stomach, an stork's stomach. But when you decide to end it, if you do it yourself, that's terrible. But at least you're the only one that's suffering. You're the only one that has to live with those consequences. Nobody else has to live with it. And yeah, you can make a case. There are companies and industries that will gladly help you. And I don't know, I can't think of anything darker. Maybe. I mean, we got these studies about the guys who euthanize pets and how badly they feel. Imagine what happens to a mind, to a person who's killed, snipped apart, ripped apart fetuses in the womb over and over again. What does that do to their mind? And what about the people around them? So yeah, it's not just about you. And that's kind of the other thing about the abortion thing that I don't like too, is that what it really is it's an excuse. It's trying to take the blame away from yourself. You know, if you have to do it yourself, that's some hardcore gruesome shit, right? Can we agree? Giving yourself your own abortion, murdering yourself, murdering somebody. Murder is a dirty job. It's not a fun job. It's not a wonderful job. There are a few people out there that would disagree with me, I'm sure. But for the most part, I think we can all agree that killing is on the low end of the deal of good jobs. I have no facts to back this up, by the way. I'm just assuming. I've never killed anybody. I've killed some things before in my life, and it felt terrible. Even hunting, I didn't feel good about it. But, you know, there's a circle of life thing there. I suppose if I was going to eat my friend, you know, who wanted me to help him commit suicide, and it was very tasty, and it was legal to do that, you know, that might be a different thing. But we're not supposed to eat people either. So don't eat anybody. And especially don't kill anybody to eat them. Do you see how I'm helping you here? You were thinking of those things. I'm saying don't do it. Don't kill things. It's not as bad as you think. Having a baby isn't as bad as you think. Living the rest of your life isn't as bad as you think. And even if it is, it ends soon enough anyway. You're going to die anyway, and it's cheaper to just die naturally. You don't even have to go to the hospital. You can wander off into the desert by yourself, and you can have your abortion by yourself. Nobody else needs to know. You don't need to involve everybody else, not even a doctor, because when you involve the law, here's the problem with making it legal, and I don't care. Look, again, I don't want this debate to ever end. I always want the ball to be up in the air and people fighting about it, because it's completely frightening to me to have the debate solved either way. And I mean that. Like, I don't want it solved either way. If you solve it on one way, then it means government completely tells you what to do with your body. If you solve it the other way, that makes everybody else complicit in your heinous act, in your terrible act, terrible. What's a better word? Your sad act, just negative act, something that's not beneficial to anything. Death. I'm going to keep that on the negative end of the deal. But involving a doctor and involving the law brings everybody else into being an accomplice. And a lot of us don't want to be. We want to be involved in as little unnecessary death as possible. Of course, this is where I get in trouble for not being a vegan. And fair enough, completely different discussion. Related even, I'll give you that. But I'm going to stick to your basic murder, you know, your basic suicide, your basic abortion. And how about even this? How about one of the reasons why I really believe in decentralized law, meaning everybody has their own guns and stuff, is because I also think that that's a DIY deal. You know, somebody rapes your sister. Do you really need to go and yeah, I'll get myself in trouble. This is hypothetically speaking. That's in a different world where things aren't the way they are. If you were to find that person and snuff them out in an alley because you were positive they did it, What's the point in having a trial? What's the point in wasting everybody's time if you're positive? I mean, if you just think, then fine. But if you saw it and you knew it and blah, 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 DIY keeps everybody else's hands clean. And doesn't that show a higher morality? Just keeping other people's hands clean? In other words, look, I'm going to do some dirty shit, but I don't want you to do it with me. I can do it myself. I don't need you to validate my horror. I don't think it works anyway. That whole idea of making it legal and making it easy, I don't think that it really just works that way. I don't know. I've never had an abortion, but I'll tell you, and I'll save this for a different podcast. I have close... well, hell, why not just tell it here, right? What the hell is this podcast for? Yeah, I've been affected by abortion. Absolutely. I dated this girl when I was 35 years old who, it turns out later, was trying to get pregnant from me. I mean, it was a goal of hers. She didn't tell me about it. She told her friends about it. Didn't tell me about it. In fact, she tricked me into getting pregnant. How do you trick a person, Well, you do this. You start pretending like you're taking birth control pills in front of them. You say you're on the pill. I'd never seen anybody take the pill until this woman. And she took them in front of me. And I thought, well, okay, I guess that's the way that works. And she got pregnant. Right? We only dated for a little while. Probably weren't a good match. But she planned the pregnancy. She wanted to get pregnant, and it worked. Well, we were kind of like not really dating, but when she came over and showed me that she was pregnant, I was like, well, fuck yeah, this is awesome. Great. And we were making the best of it. We thought of a nice name for the kid. Cassius Monet. Cash money, get it? Anyway, yeah, the kid was welcome into the world. Absolutely welcome. I was excited. Nervous as fuck, but excited. Her friends got in her ear. One of her friends, and I'll just tell you that one of her friends, her best friend, had a really big crush on me. Oh, the drama. And that friend got in her ear and convinced her that she wasn't ready, that this isn't right, that you have to have a baby this time, you got to be ready. Anyway, I had told my friends, I had told my family, I had announced to the world that I was going to have a kid. And this woman went and had an abortion with her friend, her best friend. Didn't tell me about it. Didn't consult with me. Just went and did it. Told me after. I don't know what to tell you guys, but if you want to destroy a man, destroy his offspring. Done. Might not work with every man, but it worked with me. I probably never got over it. I don't feel like I got over it. I've never had a good relationship or a decent relationship after that. Never had a trusting relationship after that. And she told me that, you want to hear the reason why she said that she had an abortion? Because she couldn't stand the idea that her own child would likely love me more than her. In other words, she didn't feel good about her abilities as a parent, but thought I would be good. And she competitively didn't like that idea, that her own child would love their father more than her. So she, with her friend, went and just got rid of the pregnancy. And they involved the doctor, they involved the friend. And I think about it, I never got over it, never will get over it. Never ever will get over it. In my world, she would be in jail, or hell, like in a fantasy world where nobody had to do anything, she'd collapse dead I wouldn't feel bad about it. Like, I know this makes me seem like a terrible person, but I know that for all the 5 people listening out there, there's somebody who feels the way I feel. It's just absolutely terrible. So, and yet still, I don't want the abortion debate completely solved either way, even though I was directly affected by it, and will never heal. And who are these doctors that are doing it? Do they heal? What's their life like? What does that do to society? Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Don't do it. How about this? Just don't do it. Don't. Life is an incredible miracle. Like, literally, do the math. I know I hammer this down, but do the math. The chances of you being born mathematically are an unfathomable improbability. Like, there's no way you can work it out. The fact, even just out of the sperm that don't make it to fertility, and the eggs, that's already a victory. But look at the whole universe and the lack of life out there. The idea that you're on this planet and that life happens here. I mean, just mathematically, it's insane that it even happens. Write it out. Even if it's terrible, write it out. Every single thing that's ever born that takes a breath, that feels a pulse of life, is a victor over incomprehensible, unfathomable odds. And you just want to get rid of it willy-nilly because you had a bad day or bad week, bad 10 years. Even if you had a bad 75 years. Fucking stick it out. There's only a little bit time left, God, and if you do, don't fucking involve anybody else in your bullshit. Not doctors, not family members, not friends. Don't drag them into your death, into your, consult with them if you want to get out of it. Rely on them to help you fix things. You don't need to murder anybody. You don't. And if you're going to murder somebody, murder a terrible murderer. Don't murder anybody. It's my disclaimer. Don't murder anybody. Anybody. Ever. That's why I'm against capital punishment. Same thing. Same principle applies. Why? Not because I don't believe that the world would be a better place if certain people were dead. Do I believe the world would be better if pedophiles and rapists and torturers were dead? Of course I do. Do I want to hire somebody, a guy, to get a government job to pull the switches? Why does his life have to be that way? Why do I have to involve myself in his psychology? I just can't believe that that's going to be good for him or her. How many are there? Are there female executioners in this country? I don't know. But yeah, when you're employing an executioner, here, Bob, here's your check for pulling that trigger or flipping that switch or injecting those things. There you go. He's got to go home and wrestle with those ideas. And sure, he might be able to, but why do we have to be involved? It's cheaper to keep the dude alive. And besides, death happens anyway. War happens anyway. Criminals get killed. People get shot. It's kind of inevitable. But when it is avoidable, then avoid it. Guy's sitting in a cell. What, you got to drag him out? He's not hurting anybody behind bars. Does the vengeance death, does it really do anything? Does it prevent anything? No. I mean, it might if you went bonkers and started just shooting people point blank in the streets. But does the death penalty with appeals and 10-year-long things doesn't fucking change anything? Nobody's mind is changed by that. And I'm not saying we should implement it so it's hanging in the town. If we were hanging people in the town square, yeah, that would be effective. Do I want that? Fuck no. Doesn't sound fun. Although I've seen movies. People do show up for those executions. Who knows? I don't know. Morally speaking, I don't know. I don't know. For all I know, killing another human being might be the greatest rush a person ever has. Sam Harris talks about, he bugs me because he talks about, in one of his speeches about fatalism, where he's a determinist and he believes that nobody has control over their own life. Everything's predetermined, It's fate. You can't do anything about it. And I remember one time he's giving this talk and he ended up saying, because nobody would choose to be a murderer, right? Nobody would choose that. It's obviously they're not choosing it. It's their destiny. They can't choose it. And I'm saying, why do you think nobody would choose it? People choose to be murderers all the time, right? People sign up for war. Do you think every single soldier that signs up for war signs up because he wants to serve his country and wants to protect? Maybe, probably most. But some of them probably just have bloodlust. Hell, look at the natural kingdom besides mankind. A lot of blood and murder out there. I don't know. Maybe man's greatest purpose is to kill. I don't know. These are my opinions. This is an opinion machine. I'm an opinion machine. And it is my opinion that life is a goddamn fucking miracle. And I don't use that term lightly, and I don't even use it in a religious sense. I just use it in a mathematical, hardcore, what are the odds kind of way. In a Vegas kind of way. You already won. If you're listening to this, you're a winner. Like a real winner. I'm not talking about, I'm going to pump you up and make you feel like a winner. This isn't self-help bullshit. This is mathematically speaking. Those that were not born and are no longer alive, that were never born, the sperm and the eggs and the pieces of matter that flew through space and didn't land on this planet and didn't have it's just, you're winning so hard. Bernie talks about the 1%. We're talking about, when you're talking about life, actual life, you got to equate all the matter in the universe. How much of that matter, including all the dark matter, ends up being life? Yeah, that's right. You don't have a calculator that can sliver down that percentage to the smallest degree. You don't. That's the level of victory you're dealing with there. That's huge fucking victory. Gold medal times 1 billion. The difference between you and the greatest victor in the world that you can think of right now is so minimal compared to the victory against all the rest of the matter in the universe. Everybody's on that podium, on that winner's podium. And the difference between everybody being on, every living thing. Yeah, so don't murder. Don't commit suicide. Don't vote for capital punishment. Don't get an abortion. Don't do it. Have the baby. Live your life. Don't kill others. All right? Have we got that? And, if you really are going to kill yourself, if you really must, at least do it fun. Have some fun with it, right? who was it? Hunter S. Thompson that launched his ashes into fireworks, you know. I mean, he could have just tied himself to a rocket. That would have been way cooler, right? Funnier, too. Especially if he had a GoPro. Freak people out, but whatever. I mean, at least do something fun. At least make it so your family doesn't have to hide the fact that you killed yourself, you know. Make it so they can have something they can say, you know. Like, maybe if you're going to kill yourself, go to Iwo Jima, bring yourself a little flag, and raise a flag as you shoot yourself in the face. And that way your family can say, "Oh yeah, Uncle Dick, he died raising the flag over Iwo Jima." Yeah, see? Dignity. Or maybe you could storm the beach of Normandy, you know? Or you could just go to Vietnam. Yeah, he died in Nam. You could do it on 9/11 too. That way I can say, "Oh yeah, he died in 9/11." At least have some fun with it. You know, I don't know if you can have fun with abortions. Although I've laughed at abortion jokes before because I'm a terrible person. But, yeah, don't do it. Just don't do it. I already told you this 1,000 times. And I'll tell you 2,000 times. Don't do it, you goddamn fucking idiot. You're gonna die anyway. Thanks for listening.